You're listening to the Academy podcast, the podcast for people who can but don't know how. This is where you get actionable steps to turn vague dreams into blissful realities. And I'm your host, Omoshola Victoria Wolabi. So let's get started. Do you ever think to yourself, I want to be able to impact lives, leave an imprint in this world, but you feel isolated, stuck, unclear on how to show up or get started? If you've answered yes to this question, I want to extend a very special invitation to you to join us on our upcoming workshop, the Courageous Confidence Workshop. This workshop is live, where we get to work together on that call so that you can crack the confidence code, awaken your inner giant, show up authentically, and attract your tribe. Head on over to offers.academy.org/courageous. Again, it's offers.academy.org/courageous. You'll find the links in the show notes below. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Academy podcast. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're setting in motion the plans that you started at the start of the year or you wrote down at the start of the year. On today's episode, we're going to be continuing with our series about your miracle gifts. On the last episode, we talked about the gift of the word of wisdom. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the gift of the word of knowledge. What does it mean to actually have the word of knowledge? Now, the word, last week, we talked about the meaning of the word word. So word is logos. In Greek, it means word. Word is logos in Greek, which means word, reason, plan, utterance, right? Now, knowledge is gnosis with a G, right? But the G is silent. It's gnosis, which means knowing, right? So you just knowing is not the gift, actually. The word of knowledge is the gift. So the word, it means the reason why something is. That is the word of knowledge. So this gift usually has to do with a supernatural revelation from God that gives you details or information about certain situations, industry, places, people that you usually would not be able to know by yourself, right? So literally, this is a tiny portion of God's total knowledge about the thing that he deposits inside of us as human beings. And we can see this word of knowledge operating in different spheres of life. For example, religious leaders like pastors, ministers, priests, prophets usually operate in this gift of the word of knowledge. We also see educators like teachers, professors, using this gift of knowledge to impart, using the gift of the word of knowledge, rather, to impart knowledge into their students in a way that helps them understand and retain. Have you ever had a favorite teacher that teaches you something in a way that you just get it? Like they're different from other teachers. Yes, your other teachers teach you and you get it, but there's this one teacher that when they open their mouth and speak to you, you just get it, right? That person might be operating in the gift of the word of knowledge. We also see this gift operating in journalists. If you have a desire to be a journalist or you are a journalist, you may not be aware, but you are operating in the gift of the word of knowledge. We see this with researchers as well. If you're a researcher, maybe you're a scientist, a physicist, a historian, you see that you use your gift of the word of knowledge to actually uncover new knowledge and insights in those fields, right? We see this with counselors, therapists, medical professionals like doctors, right? You use that word of knowledge to help others, right, to understand the why beneath the why, right, so to speak, right? So most people that operate in this gift will find success in fields of industry that values knowledge, understanding, and insight. So for example, there's a doctor that went viral or became famous because of this unusual gift of the word of knowledge. His name is Dr. Oluyinka Olutoye, right? And he works at the Texas Children's Fetal Center. You know what he did? He actually operated on a pregnant woman. So this doctor this woman was pregnant, and the doctor did a scan, and he realized that the fetus showed that there was a scan of the unborn baby, that the unborn baby had a tumor. So what this doctor did was he decided they were going to extract the fetus from the mother, right? Remove the tumor and then implant the baby back in the womb, and the pregnancy continued. Crazy. How did he know how to remove the baby from the womb, remove the tumor, and then put the baby back in the womb, and the pregnancy continued? How did he know that? This doctor is not just a doctor. If it was just a medical thing that every doctor should know or surgeon should know, every surgeon would be able to do that. But this guy has a special gift. He has a miracle gift of the word of knowledge. He understands the why behind the why. That's why he was able to successfully remove a fetus from a pregnant woman, remove the tumor from this fetus, implant the baby back in the womb, and the pregnancy continued, and this woman gave birth to her healthy baby after 36 weeks. This guy has been applauded. Dr. Oluyinka Olutoye has been applauded. He's of Nigerian descent. Hello. He has been applauded for this medical feat that he was able to accomplish. Okay, family, let's face it. We've all felt pain. We've suffered the losses. You know what it's like to want something so bad, but not see a path to its accomplishment. The question, however, is, do you know how to pick yourself up and move on despite what has happened? This is what I share with you inside of my new book, Good Medicine for the Crushed Spirit, a practical guide to helping you find purpose when adversity strikes. Inside this book, you will find personal stories, relatable biblical tales, and anecdotes that prove you are never alone in your despair and will inspire you to turn pain, discomfort, disappointment, or setbacks into something positive that works for you. So if you're ready to change your life in meaningful and purposeful ways, get your copy of this book today and let the transformation begin. Now, this child is all grown up now, right? And there's an article online from the Texas Children's Hospital with a picture of this boy. He's, according to when the article was written, it doesn't have a date on it, but this boy, according to when the article was written, is 14 years old now, right? And this boy is a normal teenager. But you know that this has to do with the word of knowledge in application. So if you think about unusual ways to do things, you may be operating in the world of knowledge. Another famous person that clearly operated in this gift is Albert Einstein. Albert was able, we know he's a genius. We know that he is the father of the invention of the theory of relativity. We know that length and time are not fixed, but it depends on on the observer's frame of reference. We know that Albert Einstein saw this in a dream. He said he was dreaming and he saw a field of cows that inspired this theory of relativity, which according to him, he was telling the farmer in the dream about the cows being surrounded by an electric fence. But the farmer, from his view, saw something different. And Albert Einstein was awakened with the realization that the same event, so we could all be experiencing the same things, but our narration of those events will vary based on our perspective. And that was how he was able to birth us with their theory of relativity. And this theory has been able to help us take it one step further, to invent things like satellite navigations, Google Maps, right? Because if it was not for Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity, we wouldn't be able to consider the relativity effect that synchronizes GPS satellites that orbit the Earth. Right? It means those data will be filled with error. But Albert Einstein's invention of the theory of relativity that came through a word of knowledge, that dream he had was a word of knowledge from God. It was divine, right? That is why we can have things like satellite navigations right now. So the same thing with lasers as well. It is the same theory at work. That is why we can use lasers in our modern world today, right? So the gift of the word of knowledge is absolutely important. It's a fantastic gift that God himself has gifted to us. So if you have this gift, if you have a knack for knowing, you always want to know why, you're very inquisitive, you're very intuitive. I have this gift as well. I always want to know the why behind the why, right? That is something that is so valuable in today's society, because a lot of us are drowning in knowledge, just knowledge, without understanding the word behind the knowledge. The word is God. In the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. That word is God. So it is only God that can give us insight to our knowing. Otherwise, every knowledge we have is shallow, is superficial. We need the word of knowledge to help us understand the world that we live in and how to navigate it. That we don't just look at things on a shallow surface level, that we're able to dig a little bit deeper. It is only the word of knowledge that gives us access to that information, right? The word of knowledge is something that is crucial in today's world. We see it from Bible times when the Lord gave Ananias a word of knowledge by giving him distinct information on how to find Paul. He says, go to this street called Straight. You will find Paul there. And this is what you are to do. You are to anoint his eyes so that he can see again, right? Jesus had a word of knowledge about the Samaritan woman at the well. What Jesus was doing was he was operating in the gifts of the word of knowledge, right? So that is why we need to understand our gifts, our miracle gifts that God has given us, because these gifts are crucial to not just our lives, but helping humanity in general see life the way God sees them, right? Thank you so much for listening to this episode. On the next episode, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite gifts to talk about, which is the gift of faith, right? And how this applies to everyday careers, everyday life, everyday living in your marriage, in your business, in your children, in your parenting, in your work life, right? How this applies to that. On today's episode, though, I have a little bit of homework for us. I want you to sit down and start to think through your life. Look at the thread that runs through your life. Have you operated in the gift of the word of wisdom or the word of knowledge and you not even know it? What are some of the things that have happened to you where you now look back and you say, I was probably operating in the gift of knowledge? Let me know by sending me an email to hello@icacademy.org. hello@icacademy.org. I love to read from you. I love to hear your stories. Let me know, and I respond personally to every single email that I get. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and until the next episode, keep on shining. This episode is sponsored by our very own Mogul Mindset Training. Are you ready to embrace new experiences, see opportunities where you thought there was none, and totally surprise yourself? Because you can by unleashing the power of your mind. Mogul Mindset System is a 5-step system that helps you retrain your mind to work with you and not against you, so you can awaken your inner giant, 10x your impact, your income, and become truly unstoppable. The truth is, you, my friend, have a superpower, your creative genius. And I'm here to make that power multiply manyfold so you can get past fear, self-doubt, and finally start working and thriving in your life and business. Ready to unleash your superpowers? I thought you would. Head over to mogul.icacademy.org. That's mogul.icacademy.org to learn more. So there you have it. Thank you so much for listening. And for more content like this, follow us on our social media handles. On Facebook, it's @icacademy, the Facebook page. On Instagram, it's @icacademy. Or come say hello over on my personal page. On Instagram, it's @Omoshola Speaks. On Facebook, it's Victoria Wolabi Feel free to reach out, introduce yourself, say hello. I love meeting you. And if you have any stories that you feel will inspire another woman to action, I want to hear from you. I really do. I love hearing from you. Send me an email to hello@icandemy.org. So it's hello@icandemy.org.